Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our lecture today, LS 104 Introduction to Biodiversity. This module is for students from Livestock Sciences Department studying animal genetics and breeding. The students are in first year. So this module, it introduces the concept of biodiversity, its importance, its distribution, its threats, and the conservation strategies available. Since it is offered for students from livestock sciences, it has some direct applications in the livestock breeding and genetics. It also blends theory with some real-world examples. For starters, we are starting by defining biodiversity. And by end of this lecture, students must be able to define biodiversity and its three levels. They also must be able to explain each level of biodiversity and discuss its importance, particularly in the relation with animal ecosystems, livestock production, and livestock resilience. Well, for starters, let me ask you to choose between environments. Environment A or B? Okay, we go to next slide. Environment A or B? All answers are correct, but I want you to revisit your answers after this lecture. Environment A, environment B. Okay, please revisit your answers and be able to correct yourselves after this lecture if you made it wrong. Environment A or B, situation A or B. Okay, fine. Now keep your answers. We go straight into the definition of biodiversity. So biodiversity, it looks simple. One can just break the word into bio and diversity. And we'll say bio means life and diversity means variety. And we'll define biodiversity as the variety of life. Of which, yes, it might be correct, but it's wrong in a way. It's incomplete. Okay. So biodiversity was first coined in 1986 by an entomologist who is Edward O. Wilson. He is the father of biodiversity. Biodiversity can be defined as the variety of life on Earth and the essential interdependence of all living things. This definition, however, is not specific and is not telling the three levels of biodiversity. Yes, there is interdependence showing inclusion of ecosystem, both ecosystem, there is interdependence of living things. Variety of life, yes, there's variety of life, but at what level? Genetic or species? Okay, it's okay. We move on to the next definition. Biodiversity is all different kinds of life you find in one area. The variety of animals, plants, fungi, microorganisms such as bacteria that make up the natural world. Fine. What are the weaknesses of this definition? There is no mention of ecosystem element. Yes, then there's an element of species, but there is no element of ecosystem inclusion. What then is the proper definition of biodiversity? Well, it's shorter than the previous ones. It is the variety of life at genetic, species, and ecosystem levels. And let us look into these three kinds of diversity one by one. Genetic diversity. It is a variations in the genes within a single species or within a breed or within a population. And what is species diversity? It is the count and distribution of species in a particular area. The number of wild animals in Wange National Park, the number of fish species in Lake Chivero. And what is ecosystem diversity? It is the variability of the habitats. The variability of habitats such as wetlands, forests, which can be sectioned into biomes. Biomes are usually determined by distinct climate and vegetation. So genetic diversity includes all the components of genetic coding that structures the living organisms. And what are they? The nucleotides, the genes, the chromosomes, and the variation in the genetic makeup between individuals within a population or between populations. Let's take a look into cattle on that slide. They might be from the same breed, but some differences in the alleles or allele combinations, some difference in the genetic makeup, give us some differences in the physical appearance. But it is still the same species. The difference is only on the genetic makeup. The difference can be in the alleles. There's an example of the allele for masculinity in cattle. So differences in allele in that alleles results in some animals having some double masculine, for example, in some cattle breeds such as the Belgian Blue. Genetic diversity also enables the population to adapt to their environment or to respond to natural selection. What causes genetic diversity? They can be caused by mutations. For example, in pigs, the replacement of arginine with cysteine results in porcine stress syndrome gene. This replacement is a single point mutation at position 1843. The genetic difference can also be due to a process called recombination, and this occurs during gamete formation or meiosis, whereby the chromosomes shuffle and exchange some segments. This will also create some new combinations of alleles, and automatically it results in different genetic makeups in individuals. As a result, the phenotype will differ. Genetic diversity can also be due to gene flow or migration. The introduction of new alleles in a population from another population or from another breed results in genetic diversity. For example, if you bring the Bushville chickens to our naturally occurring indigenous chickens, it will bring the new combinations of alleles. It will bring new genetic makeup, and therefore differences in phenotype. So populations with high genetic diversity, they can adapt better to their environment. If we change the environment, they will adapt better. Whereas the populations with lower diversity, they are more uniform. So low diversity leads to uniformity. Traditionally, biodiversity at this level was measured using the coefficient of inbreeding, F, or effective population size, NE. But nowadays, there are some genomic-based measures which assess genetic diversity at DNA levels. And through the use of DNA markers like RFLP, PCR, RAPD, and other methods. Let's look into one case study, and this case study is looking on the Holstein breed of cattle. So the Holstein is a breed of cattle known for producing high quantities of milk. Some elite sires have been used to improve milk productivity, and the breed shown high genetic gain. There was then repeated use of those elite sires to improve production. The sires have been used repeatedly, potentially causing some inbreeding. And what happened? The consequences started to come out. Number one, the effective population size, NE, dropped dramatically, leading to increased inbreeding. And what are the consequences of inbreeding? Reduced fertility, shorter reproductive lifespans. And shorter reproductive lifespans means that the cows, they are staying in the production line for just shorter period of time. Normally, we want 4 or 5 parities, but the reproductive cycles reduced to an extent that it was quite impossible to reach the third parity. You do not want that as a producer. It is not profitable. So in conclusion, genetic diversity is critical in animal breeding because it is a foundation of genetic gain and adaptability. It also fuels selection. Without genetic diversity, there is no need to do selection. It also leads to adaptability to change, and genetic diversity also mitigates inbreeding depression. If there is diversity in our breeding systems, we are quite sure that there is low chances of inbreeding. The slide is showing the different types of cattle kept in Zimbabwe according to the Zimbabwe Headbook, and we see different color combinations, differences in the boldness, differences in the sizes, all due to genetic diversity, all due to difference in the genetic makeup, all due to the difference in the alleles, or due to difference in the gene sequences. Now let us look into this model explaining why genetic diversity is important. Suppose that a group of bacteria, of different species of bacteria, are exposed to a certain antibiotic. What happens? Most of the bacteria die, including also the resistant ones. But the non-resistant ones will suffer most. The few resistant ones that are left will start multiplying, and they will eventually replace most of the strains that were affected by the antibiotic. Imagine if it's your animal populations. They are the same. They are affected by foot and mouth disease. All of them that are not resistant. obviously they are all wiped out, resulting in 0 cattle out of 100. And you do not want that as an animal breeder. You need diversity. If a disease comes, some they become resistant, some they die, and the resistant ones they are used for breeding purposes. Imagine it's a chicken population, you have diversity, Newcastle disease comes, and if there's diversity like that, it will surely not wipe every chicken um, in your fowl run. Right, our next subtopic is species diversity. What is species diversity? It is the variety of living species within a geographical area. And in the context of livestock production, it is the variety of different animal species used in agriculture or the variety of animal species on a farm. Species diversity is relevant in livestock production. Each species occupies a unique niche and produces different products and adapts to specific ecological conditions. Imagine at a farm there is diversity in species. You have cattle, you have sheep, you have goats, you have pigs, you have chicken. If you're cattle, you are certified that milk is coming, meat is coming, a drought power is also coming. Sheep, you are sure that wool is coming, meat, and sometimes milk. If you have goats, meat, milk, and also control of some bush encroachment. If you have pigs, pork is coming. If you have chickens, ducks, and turkey, guinea fowls, etc., eggs are also coming. So we need diversity on farms. Species diversity is determined using species richness. Species richness is the total number of species present in an area. Yes, it is the easiest measure of species diversity, but it is not complete since it ignores how individuals are distributed among the species. Species diversity, let's say you want to assess species richness in a game park. Let's say, suppose there are 5 lions and 2 kudus. The species richness will remain as 2, because there are 2 different species, which are the lions and the kudus. But is there balance? It does not encompass balance. It just encompasses the number of species. What if tomorrow the lions go and catch all the kudus and eat them? So species richness does not encounter the balance or how individuals are distributed among the species. Then there is the species evenness. It encompasses how close in numbers each species is. If there is high evenness, then no single species dominates. So species evenness is all about balance. Yes, we have 7 different types of species, but is there balance in each species? Therefore, the correct way in assessing species diversity is to incorporate both species richness and species evenness. The last part is ecosystem diversity. What is ecosystem diversity? It is the diversity of habitats, biological communities, ecological processes that occur on Earth or in a particular region. Species, they occupy different habitats. So ecosystem diversity also includes habitat diversity. Habitats, these are the physical settings where animals live. So habitat diversity includes forests, grasslands, wetlands, desert, etc. Each habitat offers unique conditions such as temperature, soil type, water availability, and these conditions will shape the type of habitat. In an ecosystem, there can be some communities. It can be a community of grazers, a community of consumers, a community of decomposers. All those communities are also found in different habitats. Ecosystem diversity also encompasses different ecological processes that occur in certain environments. Various ecological processes occur in ecosystems such as nutrient cycling, the carbon cycle, the hydrological cycle, and also some disturbances occur in ecosystems such as the fires, the floods. So in conclusion, ecosystem diversity results in overall planetary stability. Let's look into the different ecosystems that are found in one area. And this is our example, the slide here. So there are differences in soil type, water availability, and this will result in different types of vegetation. The vegetation that is found in coastal mountain ranges is different from the vegetation that is found in the coniferous forest. It also different from the vegetation we find in the deserts. As a result, the animals that we find in those areas will be different. The microbes we find in those different areas will also be different. The habitats, the communities, and also the ecological processes in each area, they are also different.